Welcome to We're Only Human, a podcast focused on blending research and practical advice to help today's HR, talent, and learning leaders improve business outcomes. Let's welcome your host, Ben Eubanks.
Hey everyone, this is Ben Eubanks, host of We're Only Human, and I'm glad to have you here today with me. So, I've got a question for you. How do you make decisions as an HR leader? Or maybe how does your business make decisions it needs to take? Obviously, we use our gut instinct, right? We always make the right choices. We just go with our gut, and not so much. I'm a huge believer in the power of data, not just to help us to improve the business, but to help us improve our own credibility as HR leaders. When I think about the times I've been able to sway executive opinion or make something really important happen, it was based on data. I love telling the story about the time that I totally messed that one up. Years ago, worked in HR, and the very first time I came up with the idea, I'd run across a demo or something else. I can't remember now what it was, but I said, we need to get a performance management technology. We need some technology here. The process is terrible. Managers hate it. I hate it. And employees are just kind of going through the motions. We need to get a new piece of technology to support our performance management process. And so I talked to my boss, who's the CEO, and he said, okay, set up a meeting, me and a couple of the other executives. You pitch the idea to us, and we'll see what happens. So I did this. And my pitch at the end of the day, I didn't prep very much for this because I knew the technology pretty well. And so I didn't prep very much. I showed them the technology, but then I basically said, this will make my job easier. And they didn't laugh at me, thankfully, but they ultimately said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to invest in this. And I learned a really important lesson that if I had brought something with me, some kind of data to help support this, some kind of evidence to help support this, I might have been more successful in that. Again, I don't know. I can what if myself to death around that one, but it's one of those things that I always wonder how differently the outcome would have appeared if I had brought some data versus just showing up, again, using my gut and kind of going with something that felt comfortable instead of really digging in and trying to find some way to prove this out. Again, we do these things every day. I pick on my peers, my brethren in HR saying, you know what, I've been there, I've done that. We in general are not very good at using data to support ourselves. So today's discussion with Erin.Spencer. She's a research and statistics ninja, not her official title, but I'm going to lobby to have that changed. She's a research ninja over at Sierra Cedar. She's going to help us dig into the data just a bit. Erin is obviously passionate about it, but she also tries to make it really practical. It's not just about gathering data and looking at numbers all day. We've got to actually do something because we're in the people business, right? We're going to interact with people at some point. And so she's going to really make it practical for us. Be sure you listen up because she's actually going to offer something that's totally free for any HR leader, and it's something that you should really take advantage of because she does really good work. Her and Stacy over there at Sierra Cedar. This study we're going to talk about is really amazing, and the offer that Erin makes is something that you should absolutely take advantage of. So, on with the show.
Hey everybody, this is Ben Eubanks, host of We're Only Human, and today I'm coming to you from New Jersey, actually first time visiting and enjoying my trip so far. I have here with me one of my good friends, data geek, nerd, she probably claim all those titles. Erin.Spencer, welcome.
Thanks, Ben. I would claim every single one of those titles.
Anything I throw at you, pretty much.
I'm good for it.
So we're in radio land, pretty much. So everybody else out there that can't see us, doesn't know that we are, probably still have our hair wet from this morning. We actually got to do something very special. Will you tell everybody what we did?
We polar plunged into the Atlantic Ocean. So we got up this morning, 6 a.m., met in the hotel lobby. Ben and I and two of the other people that are attending this conference with us were the only ones brave enough or dumb enough to clasp hands and run right into the waves this morning. Very invigorating. We're awake now.
Yeah, the person there taking pictures that was not participating said, "You guys are so brave." And I said the line between bravery and stupidity is really, really fine. It's really close.
You only live once, and this is one of those things. Oh yeah, I did that.
I've done that.
I get credit for that.
I've done that. So you mentioned that we're actually here at the WCN Recruiting Analyst Day, so hearing about some of the technology that they're putting out there and some of the customers they're serving. So it's going to be a fun conversation, a lot about recruiting today. But actually, I was excited because we were in the same place at the same time, and that doesn't always happen. And I wanted to hear from you a little bit about the work that you guys have been doing lately. I know that the biggest and best HR survey is about to come to a close. Tell us a little about the survey, because I know all about it, but everybody else might not.
Sure. My boss, Stacey Harris, and I run the Sierra Cedar HR Systems Survey. This we opened up at the beginning of April. We'll close June 8th-ish. Ben and I are going to Cornerstone, and as soon as we get home from that event, I'll close the survey. But it's the longest-running HR systems survey in the industry. We have 20 plus years of data. It's all available. You can take the survey at sierracedar.com, and all of the white papers and the breakouts that we've done on the data is there, available, free for download. We'd love to have you participate if you hear this before June 8th. But we cover the entire gamut of HR technology. So we look at core HRMS payroll, and then we get into talent management, workforce management, BI and analytics. Every little thing you can think of. It's a monster survey, but it really gives you an idea of the entire HR marketplace, market space.
So for the average practitioner that hears this, what value could they get out of that?
So the first thing, A, it's a service to the industry, but B, it really forces you to think about your entire HR stack. I mean, I'm not just asking about recruiting or compensation or benefits. I'm asking about all of those things. And it's interesting because people take the survey and they go, oh, I didn't realize that this is what it looked like. So the survey really gives you an entire picture of what you're doing. And then if you make it all the way to the end, you can request a snapshot report. So I will personally create for you a report. You can choose either your region, your industry, or your company size, and I'll create a report. It's about 15 pages that compares your answers for this year to that last year's data set. So we really do want to make you feel like you're getting some value for taking the survey, because we appreciate it. And again, we offer all of this research free to the industry, and we'll be delivering our first the first data at HR Tech in September in Las Vegas.
And the words that I heard there, you didn't say them, but handcrafted with love by Erin.
With love. I even put your logo on it. You know, it's a special thing. So we really do appreciate the people that take the time to do this for us.
Well, so I can imagine, I've never gotten one of these. Again, back when I worked in HR, I would have loved to have one, but I can imagine taking that back to my leadership and saying, here's what's going on, here's how we compare to everybody else, because a lot of times it's a guess, or you have to talk to a peer and you get that one other viewpoint, that
right.
Survey sample size of one to compare yourself against, but this gives you a much better picture.
Yeah, our data is last year was based on over 1,300 unique organizations, so I spend 2 months cleaning the data. And I pull out all duplicate organizations. So if 2 people from Ben's organization take my survey, I only keep one of the one that's the best, of course, but I keep one response. So we do an extensive cleaning process. I look and make sure that people's logic actually matches what they say. So if you've got Workday for your payroll, then I know that you're not on premise, because Workday's not on premise. So I actually sometimes have to, change people's answers, because hey, Workday's in the cloud, people. Hello, did you not realize that? So like I said, I spend 2 months doing that, and then I also pull financials for publicly traded organizations. So I go out to Yahoo Finance and I get actual financial data from these organizations, and so we look at organizations based on their financial performance, whether or not they're talent-driven, data-driven, or last year we added a socially responsible category. So we have some breakouts that not just by size or industry, but by the type of organization that you are.
Can you take a second and kind of highlight what each of those are, if you have a minute? Because I'd love to hear. I know that I've asked you in the past about maybe the talent-driven or the data-driven. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm curious about what those definitions are.
So our top performers are the category that we started with. So I've been doing this for about 4 years. And the previous year before I started, Lexi had pulled out the top performers. So these are the people that have better financial outcomes, that they're in the top quartile for 4 different financial metrics. And so do the people that do this have better outcomes than other organizations that don't have the better financial metrics? But what we were finding is that they didn't. In a lot of cases, they were not better or in any way. They didn't stand out. So we started off calling something a quantified organization. So with the idea of the Fitbit, do you track your steps? Do you understand where you are? Do you look at the data that you're using? So we looked at quantified organizations, which changed to be data-driven now. And the data-driven organizations had better outcomes, better financials. So we were really excited about that. But then the next year we were like, what if someone's not data-driven? What if they're talent-driven? What if they have better, employee engagement scores? What if they do succession planning? Things like that. So we found out that talent-driven organizations actually had better outcomes in certain areas than either the data-driven or the top performers. So when talent-driven had better outcomes, and then the data-driven and the top performers. Well, last year, Stacy and I added a socially responsible category. So if your company does a better job with certain things like diversity and inclusion and pay equity and volunteering, so we have a whole host of categories that make up the top 10% of socially responsible organizations. And our socially responsible organizations were actually on par with our talent-driven organizations when it came to outcomes. So I can do whole reports on just this
any one of those pieces.
Any one of these things. I have so much data that I would really enjoy sharing with the people that read our stuff. So.
Well, the thing that I'm hearing from you as I listen to this is, we always hear them, culture versus strategy and all those other pieces and stuff.
Culture reads strategy for lunch or whatever.
Yeah, but the idea that we can look at some organizations naturally are more data driven. That's just how they're wired. That's whether it's leadership, whether it's their culture, just the type of business, the industry, those things might just be how they are. And other organizations might be more talent driven. They might be more focused on those outcomes and those pieces of it because that matters more to them. Again, it's interesting because if you only look at measure X and try to measure yourself against every other company, you don't stack up, but that might be because they have different focus. And so this really gives you a better chance to say, hey, the biggest priority for us is our talent. Nothing else, is as important to us, and so we're going to measure against that sort of benchmark and look at that.
Yeah, but one of the important things to know is anybody can be a talent-driven organization, the same way anybody could be a data-driven organization, or theoretically a top performer. You have to be publicly traded for me to get your data to put you in that category. But if that's what your company culture is going towards, you can do that. I'm not going to say it's a simple thing to do, but it is possible to do that. But again, even we find that organizations see significant strides in these areas just if they have an HR systems strategy. That's one of our very first questions. Does your organization have an HR system strategy? And organizations that do set themselves apart from organizations that don't. Is it possible for you to share a couple tidbits? I know you've been crunching the data and stuff. So we have not closed the survey yet, but last week
preliminary.
I went in and did a little itsy bitsy, what are especially some of the new questions. So one of the questions that's super new, and we just added it this year, is whether or not you track adoption of your HR technology. 85% of the organizations currently in the survey, this is not clean data, don't track HR technology adoption.
And that's such a goodness, it's hard to tackle that one because the way I always have that conversation with leaders is you were pitched this from the vendor on this ROI based on people actually adopting it.
Right.
If you're using it like they said you would, these are the benefits you'll get, and they probably work with you to build that business case. The problem is if only half your people are using it, you're not getting those results that you're expecting.
Right. And then so the other piece of that is if you do track adoption, we actually ask, what do you actually track? And so some of the people that are tracking adoption are really only saying, oh yeah, we rolled it out to the entire company. Well,
we told them it was on and we flipped the switch. And goodness.
So we've got some interesting pieces that we'll definitely be sharing come September. We'll have a nice, lovely 100-page plus paper for everybody to go download from sierracedar.com and read.
Absolutely. So number one, you said if you take it and you want one of those reports, you'll craft that with kind of their perspective.
It's the last question in the survey, so once you get there, I will automatically get that out to you.
But the big report is the one that everybody looks forward to because it gives you that big picture view of the world. And I said at the very beginning, it's the most respected report out there. Not just because I like Erin and Stacy, but because it truly is the best research piece on HR technology, what goes on in the market. I have vendor clients that reference it all the time, or they're like, hey, make sure you cite that when you're writing an article or something for us because it's so
other analysts use that information. We share it freely. We want you guys to have this information. We want you to make better business decisions. So, we don't. This isn't only for clients that pay us large amounts of money to get our advice. We want the entire marketplace to be better, and we think you can do that with our data.
They can ply you with chips and salsa if they want extra data points out of it or something else.
Give me a phone call, send me an email if you have a specific question. I'm always happy to help share our data with other people.
So that actually leads to my last question. If someone wants to get in touch with you, you mentioned the Sierra Cedar link earlier.
Yes.
If there's a way they want to get in touch with you, LinkedIn, something else, what's the best way?
LinkedIn, email erin.spencer at sierra-cedar.com. So happy to connect. send off an email if you have any questions. I'm happy to share the information that I have with everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, Erin. This has been great. I appreciate you, and I want to help push that survey the best I can, and this is one way to do that.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Ben.
Absolutely. To everybody else, thank you for joining us on We're Only Human. This has been Eubanks, your host, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to We're Only Human. Please take a moment to share this episode with another HR leader who might see it as a valuable resource in their daily work. For more information about the podcast and to see all our show archives, please visit upstarthr.com.